Hi there, Dr. Beddinghouse here. And I'm really excited to have a wonderful nutritionist from England who's going to join us in just a minute. And we're going to be talking about food, okay? You know, we always talk about food here because it's so important. And Helen Perks is a very well trained functional medicine type nutritionist, holistic nutritionist. She has her bachelor's of science in nutrition, and she's going to share with us some ideas that she has, especially about working with children, but and helping them learn to eat better. But I'm going to let her tell her story. So let's welcome Helen. Hi there.
Hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to have you here. And one thing I forgot to ask you, where exactly do you live? Are you from?
Okay, so where I'm from and where I live are two different areas. So I'm from the northeast of England. My family live on the northeast coast, really quite cold there. But I live in a quintessentially English town called Thaxted. And Thaxted is where Dick Turpin lived. We've got very old cottages here. Um, so Thaxted is based between Stansted Airport and Cambridge, and of course most people have heard of Cambridge University. Yeah, so that's where I live, which is what we call an area of East Anglia.
Okay, boy, I've been to Ireland, but not England yet. But anyway, so let's start by just telling our folks a little bit about how you got started with food.
Okay, well, I think basically I got started with nutrition and lifestyle. It was born out of the fact that I was ill for 17 years. I mean, I'd had miscarriages, I was burning the candle at both ends, I was working as an auditor, I was studying, I was trying to balance my family life. And all of a sudden, I think it's after my third miscarriage, something just went and I didn't recover from that for 17 years. And I was undiagnosed for 18 months. And I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, and I literally lost my life. So I lost my independence, my job, my career, my social life, my friends. My husband literally had to, bath me. Sadly, I kind of fell outside of the conventional medical model,
Yeah.
and all they had to offer was antidepressants. I knew I wasn't depressed, sleeping pills, cognitive behavioral therapy, and pacing, none of which, I took on board. So I was starting to feel incredibly isolated. And I thought, I really need to take responsibility for my own health. And I need to look into this. So, in times where I wasn't so exhausted, I began to research, how I could help myself. And diet was the first thing that I came across because I'd been eating a rubbish diet. I, like so many people in society, I had become disconnected from the fact that natural food is medicine. The fact that food, sends us messages, it communicates with us. I really didn't realize the importance of, the role that nutrients played in our
Hmm.
health for
Yeah.
every cell in our body, our tissues, our organs. So I ended up literally being burnt out. So I became more and more interested in this field. And I then decided I was well enough because obviously I'd started changing my diet.
Hmm.
And I then decided to embark on some study and got a Bachelor of Science in Nutritional Medicine. So, where I studied anatomy and physiology, biochemistry, pharmacokinetics, obviously nutrition. And that's really where my journey started. And that's why I'm now passionate about helping others execute their health objectives successfully, in a shorter space of time than my 17 years,
Yeah.
frankly. Because 17 years of my life, I say, was taken away.
It's amazing, Helen. So many of the patients that I see have had a similar story, even before they come to see me. They know how important nutrition is, but they kind of don't know where to begin. So, can you tell us a little bit? about your work. How do you work with your clients? And anything you want to tell us about that?
Well, the way that I work with clients is I have a model which is called respect. Respect your health. And R stands for responsibility. And that's something that I should have taken, long before I did, is responsibility of my own health. We rely on our health services far too much. And when we become sick, we expect them to fix us. But actually, our health is in our own hands. So the first step, to be perfectly honest, by the time clients come to me, they've already taken that first step. They've taken responsibility. They realize, that the conventional medicine has not been able to, successfully help them. And I work alongside the NHS, the National Health Service. I write to, doctors and consultants. And, they have to work inside the medical model they've been given. So that's the first step. And then E is for eating habits. So, we look at what they're eating, but also when they're eating, because that is really important. We don't want to be eating the kind of wrong side of the day. We don't want to be interfering with melatonin, which is a neurotransmitter that helps us to sleep if we're eating too late. We don't want to be grazing because we don't want to, be creating that pro-inflammatory environment. And portion sizes as well, huge thing. So I'm really kind of passionate about teaching people about portion sizes. So that's E. S is for sleep. And I say to my clients, this is so important. So we're looking at nutrition and lifestyle. And sleep, so many people think that sleep is ending our day, but actually sleep is the beginning of that 24-hour cycle. And sleep is when we get to clear the toxins from our brain. We get to kind of repair and recharge. So it's really important. And again, so many of us we have a bedtime routine for children, but we don't have a bedtime routine as adults. So that's another thing that I encourage my clients to do. So things like, don't be looking at your screens at least 2 hours before you go to bed. Do something that really induces that parasympathetic nervous system state, that rest and digest state. Relax. Not too prescriptive with that, because what relaxes one person doesn't relax somebody else. For me, it's a bubble bath by candlelight, listening to the Calm app, doing a 10-minute meditation really helps me to unwind. And then I have a facial skin routine with natural products as well. So that's S. P is for physical exercise. Now, we all know how good physical exercise is for our health, right? But and and maybe that's something we'll come on to, that one of my areas of special interest is helping ladies through perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah.
And physical exercise is so important to, for bone health, because we want to really lower our risk of osteoporosis. Physical exercise helps us with gut motility. So we've got constipation. We really want to move, that stool through the body. But it also helps us with our detox system, because we're sweating through our skin, because our skin is a great detox organ. So exercise helps with that. And of course, the cardiovascular benefits as well, and for, cognition. So that's P. Where am I? So E is for, where have I gone? Respect. P, E. God, sometimes I can't remember my framework. I'll come back to E.
Energy, emotions. I'm not sure. I'm guessing.
I'm trying to think what on earth. Wait a minute. It is emotions. You're right. It is emotions, because emotions, if we've got chronic stress levels, then again, we're putting ourselves into that pro-inflammatory state. High levels of stress can impact on insulin resistance. It can, can contribute to weight gain. It has all sorts of kind of negative effects on the body, per se. So we really want to be lowering our stress levels, because again, it impacts on hormonal imbalance. So that's something that I work on with my perimenopause and menopause ladies. One thing that I love doing is prescribing laughter. And it depends on who my clients are as to what kind of laughter prescription I kind of write for them. So, for example, it could be belly laugh for 5 times a day, or go and watch 2 comedies, either end of the day. But really boost those endorphins and that serotonin and that feel good factor,
Mhm.
because then that can lower, our stress levels and our cortisol. And C is for chemicals. Really, I am so passionate about what we have around us in terms of chemicals, what we're putting on our skin, what we're breathing in, what we're eating. So, in terms of eating, I know organic produce is expensive, but really try to swap a couple of things if possible. So, something that's non negotiable for me is berries,
Yeah.
organic berries, organic broccoli, organic eggs. They're the kind of organic salad. So yeah, chemicals. What if you're using a candle, if you've got air fresheners, what about your cleaning products at home? So all of that is really, really important as well. And then finally, T is for therapeutics, and we're looking at nutrition and hydration here. So we're looking at phytonutrients. Let's eat a rainbow. Eat a rainbow at every meal. Phytonutrients are compounds produced by plants that give us so much protection in terms of overall health, the brain and the body.
Yeah.
Um, and, for example, you can use what you already do. Take scrambled egg. Do you eat scrambled egg in America?
Yes.
So I love that for breakfast. So when you look at that scrambled egg, of course, you've already got that color yellow. So the way that you can transform that into a rainbow is add things like chopped parsley, some a green bell pepper, red tomato. So really think how you can make that basic meal more colorful. For lunch, I would probably have a poached chicken breast, organics. I like to eat my main meal at lunchtime, and my green, what I call my green detox bowl. So your broccoli, your spinach, your avocado with a nice basil and lime dressing. And then for an evening meal, it could be you have like cottage cheese. Again, a good protein, but in there you can throw a cottage cheese is white, so you can throw all these different colored kind of vegetables in there. And then of course, the snacks, you can have apples dipped in cashew butter, and there's so much you can do. Just think about, when you go into that supermarket and look at that rainbow of veg and how you can incorporate into soups, smoothies, stews. The possibilities are endless.
Yeah. What I try to recommend to my patients, Helen, is that they, in the process of gaining greater health and respecting their body and taking responsibility for their health, is to develop a new relationship with food.
Mm.
I just had an interview with a man, and oh, I suggested the elimination food plan to get started, and he was overwhelmed by it. And I said, no, 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 let's don't get overwhelmed. I want you to just stop and think and become more mindful of the food that is in front of you. And you have to chew long enough to begin the digestive process in your
Absolutely.
mouth. So it's about developing a new relationship, not only with our body, but with the things we put in our body and our food. And it makes it more exciting. And,
Yeah.
one of the things that I've always loved about you is your spontaneity and your joy. And, and this idea of working with children and helping them learn to eat more vegetables and fruits. There's a commercial in the States here. The kid doesn't want to eat the broccoli, so the mother pulls out Kraft macaroni and cheese, okay? Uh, Instead of teaching children from the very get go about eating a wide variety of food. Could you say something about this this book that your poems are in. I think that's cool.
Yeah, I will share that with you. But I first of all, as functional lifestyle medicine practitioners, we always talk about uncovering and addressing the root cause. So staying with that theme of the root, I think it is so important that we help the root of our next generations. And, and this is why again, another passion of mine is to really help, children to understand in a very fun way the importance of nutrients and how they can get that into their body.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing was that I ended up telling a children's story and had a recipe in a book called The Truly Epic Book of Veg Power, which was published by Veg Power UK in the UK. And its objectives is to encourage children to eat more veg. So in this book, and I don't think it's I don't think you're able to buy it at the moment, but I will get back to you, for anybody
Okay.
that's interested. So it's packed full of activities, and there's Sir Paul McCartney in here, Jamie Oliver, so all these kind of different chefs, and this is where I am in here. And on Facebook, I asked my friends to ask their children about what vegetables they liked and how they felt about them. So the title of my chili turned out to be the Squeaky Unicorn Pink Wee Rainbow Chili, because that's how children described, what they could hear when they were eating green beans, their pink wee from beetroot. So I incorporated all those vegetables into this chili recipe, and obviously into the the fun story that went with it.
I love
And
that.
it was after that actually I'd hurt my back, and I was stuck at my mum's up in the northeast. My husband worked away at the time. And, when you're physically impaired, your mind is still kind of triggering, like it's going off like a machine gun. So I
Mm-hmm.
became really inspired about the 10 veg that Veg Power UK were focusing on. And I ended up writing 10 veg poems.
Yeah.
And I then shared that. I run a WhatsApp group for doctors and nutritional therapists. And I shared those 10 poems with them. And I was overwhelmed by the response. And, they suggested that adults could learn from these poems, not just children.
Sure.
So I decided to collaborate with an associate early years advisor, somebody that had been part of Ofsted teams. And that means when you've got a failing school, then this team goes in to help them pull their socks up, to pass the standard that they should. So her name was Lois. And I also collaborated with Felicity, and she is a primary teacher. And what came out of that was 2 years of work around 10 vegetable poems. So my global children's initiative, I don't know if that's backwards, is called Food for Thought, the ultimate children's pathway for healthy eating for life.
Is that a book?
Well,
Or is
no, so
it's a project? Yeah.
yeah, it's basically, as it is, it includes the poems, vocabulary for, so we're age range from 3 to 10, so different tiers of vocabulary. So my objective is for this to go on the UK curriculum, so that schools buy this and they deliver this initiative. But I've got plans, a vision much bigger than just it going into the curriculum. And then effectively what teachers will have is just like a teaching aid with 10 of these, one representing each poem. And the initiative includes gross and motor activity, so many different activities that are fun, even for homeschooling, role play, so much packed in there to empower children to actually ask their parents for the recipes that include those vegetables. Because I believe in today's society, the tail is wagging the dog. So
Yeah.
we need to address the tail. And there are some activities in here that one of my poems, the cauliflower poem, refers to vitamin C helping them to heal their knee when they've fallen over in the playground.
Yeah.
And I want them to fall over when they fall over in the playground, remember that cauliflower is going to help them heal so that they feel the benefits and go and ask the parents or the guardians, for that particular recipe, because there's recipes in here as well. So if you like, I can read my carrot poem to you.
Oh, please do.
And I've picked the carrot poem because we're near Christmas and it involves Rudolph. So here we go. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer ate his carrots to keep his eyesight bright and clear. When pulling Santa's sleigh, he thanked vitamin A for helping him in the dark to find his way. Bravo, said potassium and fiber too. Fiber shouted, I helped Rudolph to leave reindeer poo. Oh, really, said Rudolph. That's very good. It leaves more room in my tummy for some Christmas pud. So if, like Rudolph, you want sharp eyes, eat up your carrots so you can read and become wise.
I love it. My gosh, yeah, the imagery there, I love poetry anyway. So I love that. Yeah. Do you have one on broccoli?
I do. Let's have a look where broccoli is.
Broccoli is so pretty. It's amazing. We call them little trees.
Well, it's funny because I refer to it as a tree here. And when I was doing my research, one of my friends said that when her child was younger, because he's the same age as my son now, they're 31, he used to refer to himself as a giant eating the tree. So I've included it in broccoli, and this is how it goes.
Okay.
I'm a giant eating a tree. It's green and very good for me. Inside this tree hides vitamin C, who helps iron absorb into me. Iron is vital for your health, so eat your veg and take care of yourself. It gives your red blood cells oxygen to carry, so it will help you to bust moves like charming Prince Harry. So if you get served broccoli, do not sulk, as it can make you strong and powerful, just like the Hulk.
I love it. I love it. Do you get kids ever involved in writing the poems? Or
I haven't, but I've got my niece and nephew, Charlie and Molly. Charlie is 7, Molly is 10, and I absolutely adore them. I call them Vitamin Marley, and they feature in my P poem actually, and so they've kind of influenced what I've done as well, and I'm really lucky, because they've been brought up by their dad and my mum to really love vegetables. In the UK, we have a tradition where we eat Sunday roast dinner. So they love their roast dinner. They love my mum's mince and vegetables and dumplings. So, and they love just eating peppers and fruit. So, yeah, and my mum brought me up like that. And my grandparents taught me, to cook as well. And I think, we've got a generation where that's missing, because I did home economics at school. I don't know about you. And that they taught us how to cook. Is that the same for you in America?
It was taught. I avoided it, but I learned to cook just by being around my mother, who,
Yeah.
I mean, she always had 3 or 4 veggies for every meal, except breakfast. But yeah, I lived in a small community where farming was everywhere, so we always had fresh food.
Right.
It's just amazing.
That sounds really idyllic, to be around a farm. How wonderful.
Yes. Yeah, and okay, so as a pediatrician, I just love this idea of getting kids excited. I saw a child a few months ago who was having tummy issues, and he didn't want to change his diet. So I said, okay, what I want you to do, you are my detective. We need to find out if any of the foods that you may be eating might be causing your tummy to hurt. You think you could help me with that? Anyway, I tried to
That's a
engage
brilliant
him.
approach.
You have to engage the big children too in our practice. You got to get them on board with getting excited about food. This is lunchtime here. It's making me hungry. Just thinking about the wonderful foods that we can have. Now, we've talked about this before. How are you working with the government, with the National Health Service? I don't
Yeah, the
know.
National Health Service. So the
Yeah.
National Health Service is what it, says what it does on the tin. It's our conventional medicine, if you like. And what I do with my clients is, generally my clients come to me because they haven't been able to get to where they want to be in their health through the NHS.
Mm-hmm.
They have a 10-minute appointment, and of course with the pandemic it's really difficult in some surgeries to get an appointment, so people are waiting a long time. And the way in which I help is, I take a full case history, and where I find that there's gaps, from an NHS, like a doctor or a consultant, I will write to a GP, as we call them, a general practitioner, you call them physicians, and request certain blood tests, urine tests, fecal tests, referrals to endocrinologists, gastroenterologists, so on and so forth. And that helps my client get from A to B a lot quicker. And it helps them to articulate their health message in a very succinct way in a 10-minute appointment. Whereas, if you don't know, if you're not using the same language, I really help them to turn on their health voice. It can be difficult, and you can end up going back and forth, with lots of appointments and not really you haven't got anywhere. So by me writing on behalf of the client for them to hand the letter in physically, and touch wood, I've had 100% kind of success where, every doctor or consultant has taken on board what I've, requested. And that's one way in which I help my clients navigate the NHS system. I have got a tool that I'm bringing out next year, for people to be able, it's an interactive tool, and that will help people. They don't have to come and see me then for a full-blown consultation, but it will help them to articulate their health message. They'll be able to possibly pinpoint their triggers, their antecedents, their mediators, so what they're genetically predisposed to, and really go into the doctor and say, or consultant, and say, right, I've had this aha moment, rather than kind of stabbing in the dark. So not only will it help the patient, but also it will help the NHS, the doctor, the consultant, to really speed things up, so that people aren't wasting time going back and forth and stabbing in the dark.
And is that well received by the doctors there? Because I think it's great. I mean, that's what we do in functional medicine, but I'm not handing off to a traditional doctor per se, although I do sometimes recommend I'll write down the lab tests that I think they should get if they want to go through their regular primary care doctor. But is it well received? You're working with the clients?
Well, like I say, I have 100% success record where all tests have been undertaken so far.
Oh, yeah,
and that's because I qualify the reasons why, why I think. And despite the odd one saying, who the hell is she? She's not a doctor. Because obviously I'm a registered nutritional therapist, and lots of people don't understand what a nutritional therapist is. They think that we just focus on food and nutrients. But I suppose as a functional lifestyle medicine practitioner as well, I have an in-depth knowledge into biochemistry and so on and so forth, and symptoms. Obviously, legally, I can't diagnose. I wouldn't want to do that. So I think once you've highlighted these things to a doctor or consultant, they have a duty of care. They can't really ignore, what I'm kind of requesting. But I'm very careful in how I word that. Yeah. I don't say, this is what I want, this is what we should have. I'm always like, I've recommended that Mrs. Jones discuss this area with you. So despite even gastroenterologists saying to me, it's an unreasonable request to ask for a second calprotectin test within a 7-week period, when I've had a client follow one of my protocols, I get that client to really dig their heels in, be assertive and push for it. and you know, and then they it turns out they don't have to have any kind of gastroscopy or colonoscopy, no invasive imaging, because you know their
Better.
intestinal inflammation levels have really come down
Yeah.
right within the reference range.
Yeah.
So
I think, yeah, that's just fantastic. We have different medical systems here, but basically pretty similar. Got the regular doctor who who spends 10 minutes, 15 minutes with the patient and out the door. But Helen, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. And you're always doing something new. I love it.
I know it's not, this is like my brain, it goes off like a machine gun. I have to tell it to be quiet when I go to bed at night. So right now I am I've released a migraine masterclass. So for anybody that has migraines, that's there for people, you know, to buy. And I kind of cover the 14 root causes I consider of migraine. And there's even a letter, you know, well, a list of tests that are downloadable to go and ask for your, you know, your doctor for, including cardiovascular referral. So there's everything in there a migrainer would need, including, you know, foods to exclude. So there's that. Then I'm rolling out my detox program again, my clinical detox program again, which starts on the 3rd of January. So that's a 2-week program.
Okay.
And of course, I include all the nutrients that phase 1 and phase 2 of our liver needs, you know, support. And of course, after Christmas and New Year, everyone's like, let's detox. But we forget about the fact that our poor detox system is working hard, you know, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. So what you learn in that 2 weeks with the tutorials as well is how to, you know, support your brain to detox. So it's far more than just kind of diet, skin brushing, you know, there's a great video from an expert. So there's that. But also in January, if anyone is interested, I am starting a membership for parents, and I'm going to deliver my child's initiative with the poems and animations and all the activities around that inside this membership. And not only will I be in there delivering kind of nutritional advice and helping parents to have fun with their children and empower them when it comes to nutrition and eating vegetables, but I'll be having, hopefully, somebody like you know, pediatrician, to come in there and talk to people and answer their questions. The 2 ladies that I collaborated with, so they can come in and give lessons. So anything that's to do with children's health, I'll be delivering in that membership. So if anybody is interested and wants that, you know, waiting for that announcement, then please feel free to follow me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll send you the links.
Yeah, we'll put the links in the comments after we're done here, because I for everybody out there, if you're not watching right now, this is of course be recorded. If you have any questions or comments, be sure you put them in the comment section so we can address those before we close out. But I think, Helen, I wish you were here, but isn't this amazing that how many thousands miles apart are we, and we can just jump on board and talk and share great information for people. I really love this. I think I have a new career.
Oh yeah, I do as well. I love it. I think it's so fantastic that we can all kind of pull together and share our knowledge in this way. And it's been so great, you know, to be able to go online and meet people like you and other people in the functional and lifestyle medicine kind of arena, and share our experiences, and pass on the experiences of others and the wisdom, to our clients and patients.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's about educating the ability to be a healthcare provider. A doctor per se is to teach, to educate, to give people, what they need to take care of themselves better.
Yeah.
Now, Tom has put in there your website.
Yeah.
And he has also put in there your Twitter account.
Okay. I'm not very active on Twitter, I have to say. I'm more on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your Facebook name?
So Facebook is the Hygeia Clinic, Hygeia. And I picked Hygeia because she was the goddess of health and hygiene and preventative medicine.
Yeah, I love that. I have a vision that I may not be able to accomplish in this lifetime, but to build the framework for the temple of Asclepius, okay, which is the healing temple where people would come and they would not leave until they were healed through so many different modalities. Okay,
Yeah.
I got this idea from Jean Houston, who is a psychologist, and it's been a dream of mine forever. So doing these kind of things with people from around the world, and I'm so deeply honored to have that you would be willing to take time out of your schedule to share a few minutes with me and with our audience. I just think you're great, and I'm going to support you in any way I can
Oh,
because
thank
I
you.
love these classes that you've got coming up. So
Yeah.
be sure you send those links to us, and we'll
Yeah.
post them. And Tom put your Facebook group there.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll be sure that I think they stay on there. But anyway, is there anything else before we close out that you'd like to say?
Um, I don't think so. I think I mean, one of the things that I'm going to be working on this weekend, actually, and it is kind of relevant, is I'm going to work on a package to help people support their immune system, because as we've gone through the pandemic, I don't know what it's been like in America, but in the UK, our airwaves have been saturated about vaccinations. And that, is fine, but there has been nothing really spoken about how food and nutrition can support our immune function. So I think that's really important. So even if people are getting jabs and booster jabs, your body still cannot, function without the nutrients it needs. And your immune system, there's no exception to that. So this weekend, that's what I'm going to produce as well. But yeah, I don't think I feel very privileged that you invited me here to speak to you today. Hopefully we can continue to engage and collaborate in the future.
You bet.
But no, I just really would like to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a fantastic 2022. And I'll see everybody in the new year, and the same with you.
Yeah, great. And I did post something I shared something from your Facebook group about getting ready for the holidays. So, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
keep doing that. Okay. All right.
Okay,
So,
lovely.
all right.
Thank you for
Great,
having
great to
me.
see you. Namaste and blessed holiday.
Thank you.